Do you want to get started into modeling? Do you have questions to ask a model who has been on this journey for a while? Hi guys, my name is Rhyalle and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I'm going to apologize to everybody because I have not posted for a long time. I actually had another channel before this and I was working so hard on it, I ended up burning out really bad. It was just a huge, complete burnout, and it took about like about 2 years to like really recover from it. I just could not pick up the camera. But anyways, I'm back. So I will leave the past to the past, and today I'm making this video to some people who have asked me more questions about my modeling career. So a little bit about my background before I dive in. I've been modeling for about 10 years. I've been doing it part-time and full-time as well too. I've traveled to different countries. I've worked on a lot of projects, and I also am doing acting as well, film acting. So I live in front of the camera. So today I'm going to be talking about how I started on my career and what struggles I went through, because these are things that you might run into as well too if you dive into this aspect of work. How I got started modeling was a bit of an accident. Growing up, I knew I really wanted to do acting, and I thought that modeling and acting went hand in hand together. So what happened was, one time during the summer, I was working a summer job and I was like looking at some jobs in a bigger city nearby. I'm from a really small town, by the way. I wanted to do acting, and then I actually ended up submitting myself to a modeling agency in a big city nearby. I didn't get the difference between acting and modeling super well back then. I got scouted into the agency and there I started. So basically, in a way, I got into modeling by accident though. My goal was acting, and I wanted to do some of this for summer. Yeah, purely by accident. I had no intentions of doing modeling at all. And I never thought I would even be a model someday, you know? It's like you grow up and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a teacher someday, I'm gonna be a scientist, I'm gonna be a doctor, and then boom, I became a model. So the first problem I had was long distance, because I lived 3.5 hours away from this huge city, which had all the modeling agencies and acting stuff. My small town did not have anything at all. My first photo shoot, I had to drive 3.5 hours just to get to the city, and it was really painful. And mind you, my family is a bit traditional. My parents are really conservative and strict. Telling them that I wanted to do modeling was not gonna work right away, so I had to keep it a secret from them at first. It was really hard to do. So what happened was, I was working as a sales girl, going door to door at the time, and then I had made up this lie of like saying like, oh my god, I'm working overtime, I need to work on the weekend, when really I'm actually I'm driving 3.5 hours just to get my first headshot done as a model. I had my coworkers cover up for me. They were telling my family, oh yeah, we're working together and stuff. Holy cow, it was really hard to cover up just even making the drive there and back. So that could mean like that's 7 hours of driving just to fit in a day. And then photo shoots and your makeup, you know, you're looking at another 2-3 hours. So that's like not a normal work day for me, obviously. So it was a little suspicious and hard to pull off. So that long distance was a huge thing for me, and especially when I moved out to university. My university place was a really small city as well, so every time I had to pick up gigs, I had to drive like 2 hours just to get to the city. There was like no job opportunities where I was. So that was something I had to overcome, and thank God I drove and I had a car at the time. Other issues in the beginning was scams. Agencies are not always to be trusted. My first agency is not a really good one. Some agencies will make you pay money up front, and I did not know anything at the time. I had nobody to ask. Facebook wasn't a huge thing back then, so I honestly did not have any connections at all to ask around. So I did not know of the fact that my agency back then had a really bad reputation. A lot of investments, buying the portfolio books. So this was back in the days when models had to actually own their portfolio book. Like you have to buy a book and then all your photos and headshots are in there. And right now in the modern time, we don't need to bring the books to casting anymore. We use digital ways of getting yourself submitted. So I had to pay a few $100s just for the book itself, pay a few $100s for the headshots and the prints. It was just a lot of money in the beginning. Just to make sure that we're clear, you do have to make investments in the beginning to get started. You need to pay a good photographer to get your headshots done though. So that sort of money is necessary, but I'm talking about the other fees that came with the agency that were not right. While in Canada, I also had a problem where I had a height issue. I am 5'5", and then if you wanted to do a runway, you need to be at least 5'7". That's minimum. If you're 5'6", you could maybe squeeze by, but 5'5", there's like pretty much no chance. Unless you do open casting, which is runway shows where they don't really care about your physique and your height and stuff. So I did 2 runways in my life over the span of 10 years because they were open casting, and one of the designers was my friend anyways too. So honestly, it was hard, especially because the garments were so long. So I cannot do runway, even though I have runway training, I can catwalk. That also proposed another problem where I had limited amount of work chances though. Long distance was a problem already. My agency was not getting me that much work. Usually agencies like to focus on the ones that are already making money, because it's a business after all. I also live in a province where it was more country, and this is like a cowboy region. So the amount of opportunities you have is already limited in the start. The only place is this one city that I'm talking about. And even with this city, there's mostly just commercial work. So it was really hard to get started. I had to do a lot of photo shoots for free just to build up my portfolio. I did a lot of free work for like years. I only had 1 paid gig. But even with the free work, I got published with magazines, which was a really good thing though. It made my resume look so much better that I was actually good enough to be published in a way. I really struggled with not getting paid and stuff. You're putting all this money into modeling, but you're not getting much of a return, and it was really discouraging. So afterwards, I actually went abroad to travel for work. Later on, I worked abroad for 4 years in East Asia. I'm not from there originally, just to make it clear. So it was really hard as a foreigner because you had visa issues. Visa was a huge issue because some governments don't really want foreigners staying in their country too long. So you get kicked out pretty easily and stuff. After your visa is expired and you're still waiting for it to renew, you need to travel out of the country and back in again. That's a flight ticket. Like sometimes I had to like fly out every 6 months just because like my Canadian passport would not last that long. I had to fly to Hong Kong and fly to Japan just to make sure that my passport was keeping renewed and stuff. One of the biggest problems I had over in East Asia was language barrier. I did not know the language very well, and then I had to study it. It was also really hard to pick up commercial work too because I have a huge accent speaking it. But what put me at an advantage there was my height, actually. This is funny because when I got over there, I realized that I was considered above average compared to all the other girls that lived in the place. So I was at the ideal height for their place, actually. So it was really interesting to see that switch from Canada going to East Asia. Some other issues was scamming agencies again. Holy cow. I had 3 agencies that I worked with there. None of them were really good. One of them got me a lot of work though, but they were scams in the end still. Okay, so for instance, you have a gig for $400 Canadian. The 10% tax comes off first, so that's $360, right? And then the 70 to 30% split, I make $252 in the end for a $400 gig. That's like half my pay, that's gone. And I realized later that I had the right to ask that I don't take the 10% off first. Like I could pay my taxes later. I don't need to have it deducted now, but they insisted that they want to take the 10% off first. And I learned later that the 10% went to them actually. And I still had to pay my own taxes after when it came to tax season and stuff. I started to question my agency for a little bit because clients pay the agency first and then they pay me, right? So what I was told that a certain gig was $400, and then, so that's what the agency told me. But then when I went to the client, I asked them how much they were paying the agency. They said they were paying about $500 to hire me. So that's when I knew that my agency was lying, which meant that the agency took the extra $100 to themselves first and then told me, oh, this gig is for $400, and then the split and stuff. So technically, if you had a $500 gig, the agency took most of it and I only made $252 off that. So even though I was working full-time as a model, I was not making that much money, and I struggled to pay my rent and my cost of living and stuff. Living in the capital city. Not fun at all. I was not happy with that. And I had another agency that I signed exclusively with. Their split was 50-50%. Most of the bigger agencies though, they actually do split 50-50. Smaller ones split 60-40 or 70-30. I had a lot of colleagues who worked with the bigger famous agencies for 50-50. Oh my gosh, they were not making money at all. Even though I was struggling already, I was making more money than them. I really struggled over there because models were not seen as humans very much there. They didn't treat models really well. They were like objects or money-making robots. They didn't care about your health very much. They didn't protect you. There was no union. Everything that goes wrong in a photo shoot will be on you. For instance, the night before every single photo shoot, you are not allowed to eat salty food because what salt does to your body is that it makes your face swollen the next morning, and then your face does not look good on the camera the next day. So you have to be really strict about your diet. You have to keep your weight down. My agent told me, oh, Rhyalle is only allowed to drink soup because she needs to lose more weight. Please, I was 103 pounds on the verge of anorexia, and you're telling me that I have to lose weight still. I was so bony skinny and stuff. Like, this is right now how I am. Like, if I was back there, I'd be considered overweight. If you're sick and you have to cancel the shoot, like if you're throwing up and stuff like really bad, you will lose your pay. Oh, and one more funny thing, I actually had a food restriction on me where I was not allowed to eat in public because one time I was gathering with other people from a shoot in a crew. My agents were there. They saw me eating a huge sandwich. You have to take a huge bite, right? And they were like, oh my goodness, you do not look good when you eat food. You need to go home and practice eating food in front of the mirror. I had that stupid restriction on me. You're not allowed to eat food in public in front of other people until I had my beautiful, elegant food eating thing laid down. Yeah, and seriously, I'm not kidding you. I actually went home for a long time and practiced eating in front of the mirror just to make sure I was eating nice. And here I'm thinking, like, there's people starving in Africa and you're making such a big deal out of how I eat. What is the problem with the way I'm eating, you know? They're trying to force me into this image of being elegant and perfect when that's somebody I'm not. So something else that was really different between working in Asia and in Canada was you get gigs based on your popularity. So if you have a larger fan base and a lot of followers, you would get jobs more easily than other people. Whereas in Canada, it's more about your skill set. Your fan base does not matter as much. It can be an asset, but it's not necessary. I lost a lot of jobs because I just was not huge on following. It was like a popularity contest over your talent. There was a huge emphasis on the more, what I called like the superficial side of society and stuff, really materialistic. I also experienced an incredible amount of racism and discrimination while I was in East Asia. I'm gonna try to keep this not so negative though, but these are actual real life experiences that I went through in my life, and it's been a really heartfelt journey for me. I actually never experienced racism at all in Canada until I got to East Asia. Just judging from your skin color, you don't get work because of your skin color sometimes. I was fighting over a gig with another model. The other model actually had darker skin. So if you're in East Asia and you had darker skin, usually you're not liked as much, unfortunately. I'll tell you, this country that I was in is Taiwan. In Taiwan, if you have dark skin, you won't get respected or loved as much, unfortunately. It's really racist in that sort of sense. I have lighter skin, so I won the gig over the other model purely because of skin color, not because of our experience or talent or skill level. So I felt it was a really unfair advantage I had though. I felt really bad for the other model. I got judged a lot based on my language abilities as well too. Because in Canada we have the freedom of speech, we have a lot of rights. It's a much more free country here. Whereas like when I was in Taiwan, I would say that I did not want to shoot swimwear or lingerie. I don't want to be so revealing on the camera, you know, and for a bunch of guys to stare at. Even just saying that I don't want to shoot lingerie and swimwear was enough to make them go like, oh, you're way too opinionated and you need to shut up and just like listen to us. They didn't care how I felt though, like just saying that you don't do lingerie and swimwear. It's like, you're hard to deal with, you know, you're not cooperating because you're not making money for them. It's hard to say no to people there. So telling them what you prefer or what you're okay with and not okay with is non-existent there. I had this shoot one time where my agency did not tell me ahead of time that I was gonna be wearing something revealing, like a really revealing gown. It went like this low. Like I was showing half my boobs. And I did not know until I showed up at the shoot, putting on the gown, that, oh my God, I'm showing half my boobs. And I was so not impressed. I'm like, you guys should have asked me earlier. You can't just treat me like some robot or doll. Like my opinion and feelings don't matter, you know what I mean? Like I was not okay wearing that gown, but I had no choice because I was already there, and if I don't do it, I'm gonna get fired. So things like these happen a lot. One thing also I had to adjust with going to East Asia was the type of modeling style. In the West, most of the models come across as cool. Like seriously, observe next time. Most Western models don't smile in their photos. It's like cool, high fashion kind of look. Whereas in East Asia, I had to learn to adapt and model what they like there for the market. Like you have to be more smiley, cute, nothing cool. They don't really like cool looking girls though, because people prefer women to be more on the submissive side there. Nothing tough girl, nothing cold. I got criticized a lot for that, and I had to learn how to model again to adapt to the local market. Here, even though I was much more ideal height here, I still had the same problem where larger agencies didn't want to sign me because still the same height issue. In some larger agencies, they would send models overseas themselves, so they had to match the requirement to even for the Western industry if they're sending models over. So I had a really huge issue where I could not get into some of the bigger agencies. I only worked with the smaller ones. I have worked with some of the bigger ones though, but we weren't like official model agents or relationship though. It was just like an occasional gig that they sent out to me. But to be honest, that wasn't a bad thing though. I was glad that I did not sign with them in the end, because my colleagues who did sign with the bigger agencies, like the huge, like we're talking like maybe Ford models, the biggest agencies in the country, okay? Like that huge. I was really glad because some of my coworkers who worked with them, they all end up regretting it. I don't know anybody who's gone like, oh my God, I'm so glad I got signed. In the beginning, you get happy because it's prestigious, it's huge, it's like a big deal. But when you get into the agency, you're signed for 5 to 7 years, and you cannot pick up work elsewhere on your own. You have to be working with the agency. So they did not get any jobs very much. They have, because you gotta know, in bigger agencies, they have hundreds of models to manage, so it's not just you that they're focused on. So chances are you'll be neglected and you're tied with them for like 5 to 7 years. I actually had this tragedy happen to me as well too, but I was signed with a smaller place. This agency caused me a lot of pain because I was exclusively signed with them for 3 years, so a little luckier in that sort of case, but they were not professional at all. It was a mistake on my part to sign with the wrong agency. They were controlling me a little, actually not little, very too much. I had to go to the office like every single day, even though there was like nothing to do. They wanted me to be there because it was like the mentality. It was the mentality that I was doing something. Even though there was really no point for me to travel like an hour back to and fro to like just be there and stuff. So like even when I started to make excuses like I don't want to, like I can't come, it's just like, it's tiring. Every time you go to the agency, you have to wear makeup, you have to wear heels, you have to do your hair. If you have to do your makeup and hair every day and wear contacts and stuff, it's extremely harmful to your body and people don't care. They were controlling my life so much, and then I cannot misbehave, quote unquote misbehave, because if you piss off your agents, especially in Asia, how Asia works is people are collective. If you piss them off, everybody is gonna come back and hurt you back. It's not like Canada where it's more like one-on-one stuff, it's just between you and me. If somebody is mad at you, it's just mostly between you and them here. Whereas in Asia, they will sabotage your parents, your family, your whole career, and your whole life, and have to please my agency, which was against my nature really, because I normally don't eat crap. But in Asia, you can't just do what you want, unfortunately. The rules are completely different there. So if I piss them off too much, what I was risking is my contract. My contract was locking him in for 3 years, and for a girl in the 20s, That's a lot of time. You don't want to be wasting your time if you're in your 20s. That's your youth. That's when your best time of your life is. They could choose to like freeze, what we call freeze you in your contract, which means you're not allowed to do anything else in your contract. You're screwed. Basically, your life is screwed. They won't give you any work, and you're not allowed to go pick up work anywhere else because that's against your contract. You're only allowed to pick up work with them. So they have the upper hand. If you're listening to this, try to avoid exclusively being signed with an agency. I know it sounds really good, like, oh, I'm exclusively signed. It does not mean anything special. The amount of work that the agency is gonna give you is the same, okay? The only person that's gonna be benefiting from the contract is actually the agent themselves, not you. The contracts never benefit the model or actor. Honestly, to the point where I was like emotionally abused every day. I had so many negative things going my way, like you suck, you can't talk right, you can't speak the language well. I had a lot of criticism because people weren't tolerant of my cultural background. I have some Asian ethnicity in my bloodline, but I'm still ultimately Canadian, so I'm not the same species as them. It's like Tarzan, you know? Tarzan grew up with the apes. He's not a normal human being, you know what I mean? Even though he comes across as one. I had that issue where people did not get why I was not like them. At first, if you're mentally strong, it could last, you're fine for a while, but if you're hearing negative stuff about you every day, like you're fat, you suck, you're not good enough, you know, you can't do this, from your agency, and then knowing that you're locked in here forever, it really grows on you mentally. And then that's when I actually started to get something called PTSD. Ever since then, I was not mentally well. I was weight obsessed with myself. I've never been a huge person on like weight, like losing a pound, gaining a pound, but at that time I would weigh myself every day, and then I would feel so bad if I gained a pound, because you know, if you gain a pound, you're gonna be scalded so bad. They do not tolerate gain weight. You can only lose weight, you cannot gain weight. I was really obsessed with my eating, and I was not living healthy. I was not eating right. I was not allowed to have a boyfriend as well too. I actually had a boyfriend at the time, but I was not allowed to tell anybody that I had a boyfriend, because you had to stay single if you're a model and an actor in Asia. It's the idea of being an idol. Models and actors are seen more of an idol more than just a profession. So you have to stay singles just to gain popularity with the male fans, which I totally do not agree with, because I feel like if you truly care about me as a fan, you should be happy for me that I have a happy love life. But I had to stay single, and I was not allowed to hold hands in the public. I was actually on a talk show one time, and then one of the show people, he wanted to introduce me to his son, and he's one of the richest people in all of Taiwan. But I was so scared of being asked if I had a boyfriend or not, because my agent was sitting right there, and then everybody was watching me trying to answer this guy's question. I was dodging the whole time, like, do you have a boyfriend? I'm like, you know, like, the answer is yes, but I can't say yes because my agent's gonna kill me later. So what am I supposed to say? And if saying no would be a lie, I kept dodging the question over and over again. Even me trying so hard to dodge, the next day at the agency, I got scalded. It's like, be damned if you do and be damned if you don't, you know? I tried my best to dodge the question already, and then I still got scalded in front of the whole agency. Everybody was there to witness me being humiliated. They got mad at me that I did not lie, saying that I did not have a boyfriend and stuff. Like, honestly, it was not my problem. I tried my best already, and I still got in trouble. I had another time where, this is with another agency before I was supposed to resign. The director of the agency was not happy with me because I had too many opinions, like I didn't want to do lingerie, I didn't want to do swimwear and stuff, that sort of thing, or the fact that I was vegetarian was not okay, and everything about me was not being respected. My boyfriend went with me to the agency, and I was picking up my paycheck. The director took advantage of the time to tell my boyfriend how bad I was in front of everybody again.
You know, you should keep an eye on your girlfriend. You should control her a bit more. You can't just let her be so opinionated. You need to make her obey people more. She shouldn't be having a mind of her own.
Dude, what is wrong with having a mind of your own?
I think it's a bad thing if you don't have your own mind, because you're just a robot. And how human are you then? with this exclusively signed agency that I was with because they were not getting me that much jobs and they knew it themselves. And I was struggling to feed myself and they knew that. What happened was they were trying to put the blame and responsibility on my boyfriend. They were saying like, you know, you should rely on your boyfriend. You should make him pay like all the rent. You should make him pay for everything. I was really upset because in Canada, I'm used to like not everything not being the guy's responsibility. Like if I want to eat out, I'm paying my own food. And I believe women should have their own financial abilities. But in Asia, it's more male dominant. So they were trying to make me follow that custom. All I told him was like, I'm sorry, in Canada, we don't do that. Like, I don't think it's his job to have to like feed me and pay my rent. I don't see why it's the guy's responsibility. They were trying to put the responsibility on him so they didn't have to take responsibility for not paying me enough. My agents were all men actually. My main agents were all men. So it was a lot of alpha male and alpha male dominance sort of issues there. They would try to like step over women a lot there, and it was just not mentally healthy for women to be working there and stuff. Like I've seen my agents scald at their wives, yell at their wives, humiliate them in front of the public as well too. And I can't do anything about that too. In Canada, I would step up and say something, but in Taiwan, I can't because I'm locked in the contract. You just can't do what you want. You can't stand up for yourself. You can't stand up to bullies. And that's what got me my PTSD though, because the thought that you're powerless, you're not the same person as you were in Canada, that was really hard on me. What I was mentioning about collective punishment, remember, if I piss off my agents, it's not just about me. They could try to ruin my boyfriend and my parents' career as well too. They can find out where they live, what they do, where they work, and then people have connections in Asia. Everybody's related somehow. So it's really easy, super easy for them to like even destroy people's lives around you. It's not just you. Because people always go like, why can't you just fight back? Just do what you want. It doesn't work there. The world does not work like that there. If you do what you want, you're gonna drag everybody down with you. I did eventually get out of my contract using a tactic where I played dumb and I tried to make myself look as useless as possible. My agency would see no value in me and they would just let me go. It worked like a charm. Holy cow. So once they felt like I was completely useless, they let me go. I mean, like seriously, it was like, you just have to come across as dumb as you can, because if they see how good you are, they're not gonna want to let you go. They want you to make money for them, right? But like the day I ended my contract, it was like blue skies, sunny weather. Holy hell, the best feelings ever in my life. I felt like my life was so much happier instantly. I went to party in the night market eating a bunch of junk food. I was not allowed to go out in the public unless I had my makeup on, and I had to wear a dress and I had to wear heels. Do not ever let them catch you wearing sweatpants and just like not even dressed up, because you have to look like a perfect girl. And then they were also packaging me as like a submissive woman. Every time they sent me to do acting roles or modeling gigs, I was packaged as a submissive woman. Again, back to the goddess thing, like I don't want to be seen as different from anybody though. I believe that like I'm just as human as anybody. I make mistakes, I'm not perfect. I don't want to look like I'm high up from everybody. So that was a huge conflict that I had, and then it screwed me up a little bit because I had this conflict in my head all the time, like which way am I going? Listen to them, listen to myself, listen to them, but I'm not being myself. I'm losing my sense of identity and I'm being somebody I'm not versus trying to be myself again. So I went mentally bonkers. Anyways, this is just one part that led to my PTSD. Overall, I had a lot of experiences that made me the way I am and stuff. My PTSD is actually really interesting. It's cultural PTSD, where currently I am actually really afraid of seeing Asian people. It's really weird, I'll be honest with you. It took me a long time to walk out of it. I went through treatment now, so I'm okay. I know not every Asian's like that. There's a lot of really good Asians out there, but it was not easy to go out. Like I had chest pain, I had nightmares, I had chronic nightmares every single night. I was not mentally healthy. People could look at me and go like, oh my God, you're not well. Yeah, if you had nightmares every single day for a long term, you're not well. Chances are my past agents are gonna be running across this video. I don't care. But life has been a lot better since I ended my contract with you guys. And it was not my fault. It was their fault. I'm gonna make it clear. I'm so glad for the experiences I had there though, because if I had lived in Canada my whole life, I would never have seen the world in a different perspective. I would never have experienced other lifestyles. I still got some of the most fun jobs I ever had in my life. They were much more fun than I had in Canada. So there was, I guess, a win and lose sort of side to it. Like got a lot of cool jobs and decent, not so great paid, but I still got paid. But I got a lot of emotional abuse that came with it and stuff. It was seriously emotional abuse. It's pretty normal. Like all my colleagues have gone through stuff like that too. Like girls who are 16 years old, they get called to the office and get scolded for a whole hour on how fat they are. They're going through puberty, they're growing girls, and you're telling them to not eat so much. After I came back to Canada, I was very fortunate to get into some agencies with really good agents who actually treated me like humans. I have human needs and feelings. I appreciate everything that my current agency is doing for me right now. It just feels so much more humane. Modeling agency overall, it doesn't matter where you are, sexual harassment is a real thing. I have to worry about this. I've encountered sexual harassment about 3 times in my life. One time I was almost raped. I will not go into too much details about it because it's really uncomfortable to talk about. 2 other times though, actually one in particular, I was working with a photographer, and then you have to be really careful if you're working with a photographer by yourself, especially if they're male. It's been a really common case where photographers try to sexually harass you. They want you to strip, they'll try to manipulate you to strip, they'll want to touch you, they want to just do whatever they want with you and stuff. So even if you're an adult, try to go to shoots with somebody, whether it's a friend or even a parent. Do not go alone if you can, unless you're sure you can protect yourself. If you go on a shoot, make sure you tell somebody where you are, okay? Don't underestimate it. Like when I was in Taiwan, I've heard of models who have been killed on their shoots. They were lured out and then they got raped and they got killed. This is a real thing. Unfortunately, I was one of the models who have been harassed. This is not easy for me to say, but I've walked out of it though. I know how to deal with it now if things were to start over again. Ever since I figured out how to deal with sexual harassment, it has not happened again. This is where working with agencies is pretty good. It has to be a legit agency though. Agencies will protect you. If you're working freelance, then there's nobody to protect you and stuff. So I have been working in the safest environment when I was with an agency though. I'm also glad that I'm making this video now because I have finally had a chance to share my story. I also had to wait until my contract was ended, my exclusive contract, because back then when you were signed, you do not talk crap and talk bad about your agency. Sorry for the long story though. I hope my story has help to you guys in some ways if you guys want to get into world modeling. Even though there's been a lot of negative sides, there has been a lot of positive sides though. I absolutely love my job. If I had to start over again, I would still choose to do it, but I would be more careful with my decisions though. It's been really rewarding and fulfilling. Don't let it discourage you from trying out modeling though. It's really fun, especially when you get your work back and go like, oh my gosh, I made a piece of beautiful artwork, you know? It's the greatest feeling ever. But I promise I won't always make negative videos like this. This is just sharing. So if you guys have any thoughts on what I've shared, I would love to hear what you would like to say. Or if you have questions about modeling and stuff, I'm here to help you. More than happy to. I'll see you guys again on my next video. Don't forget to hit like and the subscribe button and the bell. All right.